Hey guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use Jummbox, which is a modded variant of Beepbox. Keep in mind as I go through this video that it will apply, like most of the stuff that I say will apply to Beepbox, but not all of it because like I said, this is a modded version. So things like mod channels, different things that you can change about the music, different instrument customizations, things like that. Those won't necessarily apply to Beepbox, but the basics still stand. Beepbox and Jummbox are both targeted towards making music, but they are best with chiptune. I have a Google Doc that I'm going to leave a link to in the description. Wrong document. That is an album that I've been working on putting together from Beepbox, but every one of these links is it goes to a different song. Like let's see, I covered Very Eggs of Miklagard by Amon Amarth. This one was done on Beepbox, not Jummbox, so it looks a bit different, but this is just a snippet of it. So that's, oh yeah, I also put my own solo over it, but let's see. So yeah, but that's basically it. So anyways, I'm going to leave a link to this in the description. You'll be able to view it but not edit it. I'm also going to make another document that will I'm going to put this in the description as well, where you can make your own songs and leave a link to them in here. And you're all going to have editing access. So you can add your own songs. Just let's see. Don't interfere with other people's songs, quite obviously. But you're all going to have editing access to that. Anyways, the basics of it. I'm just going to use I'm just going to do a square wave because it's one of the simplest instruments. But you click to place a note. You can drag it like this to change the duration. So you can change the duration like that. Oh, one thing that I should mention, when you get into it, go under Preferences and check everything except for Autoplay on Load. And the theme is optional, but the layout, you want to go with full screen or widescreen. I prefer the full screen though, because doing it like that is a little bit more cramped. But you want to just click to place a note. These are the different notes that you can use. There's also different scales. One of my favorites is either harmonic minor or Phrygian dominant, because it just has a really cool dark sound. So you can do that, or so I've gone over how to change the length of a note, but you can also drag the end of a note down for a slide. And if you don't want it to have this flat part right here, then shrink it down to the smallest unit it can, and then just drag it straight down like that. Under the rhythm, you can do triplets, where the smallest is like a third of a whole note, a quarter of a whole note, or 6 or 8. 8 is the smallest you can get without going freehand. That's the smallest you can possibly get. So I'm just going to do +4 or just for quarter notes. Then basically how you can change the instruments. The volume should be pretty self-explanatory. That's how loud it is. And then the panning, you will... What headphones for this part? So the panning is what ear it's in. So currently the pan is on 50. So it's like center panned. It'll be equal volume in both ears. If I turn it to about 75, it's still in both ears, but it's louder in the right. 100, it's only in the right. And same for 0, except it'll be focused on the left, like that. So I'm just going to bring that back to 50, so center panned. And let's see. The detune is basically just how off pitch it is. So 0 is when it's just, since this is an E, or no, that's an F, my bad. But since this is an F note, that's going to be a perfect F. If you detune it, it's going to be down. See, it's a slightly different pitch. You can use the detune some, but I would suggest just leaving it as this. It's just a 0, unless you want to use microtones. But let's see. Filter cut. I will show you this. The filter cut is basically the it seems to me to be like the low pass filter in a way. If it's all the way up, the treble is going to be much stronger, but if it's down, the treble is going to be muted. Filter peak seems to be the opposite. That you can hear it most prominently on lower notes. So I'm going to scroll down to a lower octave. There we go. So there's that. Then filter envelope. This is going to change how the note sounds. So since it's a square wave, it's just steady. It starts and ends the same way. It's just one constant note. Punch is going to have a starter hit, or a harder hit at the start. Hear that? Then flare, and so on. And so on from there. The transition, this is basically... Transition, right now it's on seamless. So it's just going to be... It's just going to be like no breaks whatsoever in between the notes. See that part right there? Even though it's 4 notes, since it's seamless, it sounds like one note because there's absolutely no break in between them. If I do hard, there's a slight break between them. And then soft, it's like they sort of blend together slightly. It's like they fade in between each other. Slide. When they're different notes, it'll have like a... It'll just slide between them. Crossfade. Then the hard fade, they blend together slightly, but not very much. It feels like it's almost being strummed like strings. And then soft, there's medium fade and then soft fade. So I'm going to go back to seamless effects. Reverb. So currently this has the reverb effect on it, but the reverb slider over here is all the way down. If you turn it up, it makes it sound like it's in a much larger room. And then chorus, it makes it sound like there's multiple of them being played at the same time. And then chords, I'm gonna turn the effects back off. Chords are currently on arpeggio, meaning that the chords are going to alternate between the notes that make up the chord. There's also strum. Harmony, it just plays them at the same time. strum is where there's a slight delay between the two notes depending on the order that you place them in. So since this note was placed first and this one was placed second, hence the 1 and the 2, there's going to be a slight delay before the second note comes in. Generally, it's very imperceptible unless there are a whole bunch of notes. Maybe that will work better with some higher notes. See, there was a very, very slight delay there. And then custom interval is interesting. It's like an arpeggio, but not necessarily. It's kind of interesting how that one works. I might make a separate video on that one, but I don't fully understand it myself. Vibrato is basically how the note bends. Currently there is no vibrato, but if I turn on light vibrato, see how it's kind of wavering a little bit? Delayed means that the vibrato will go, it won't be in the beginning of the note, but later on in the note, the vibrato will become stronger. See how in the beginning of those notes there is no vibrato whatsoever, but it grows as the note goes on. And then interval is, I'm not exactly sure what the word interval here would mean. It describes it when two similar waves play at slightly different frequencies, they move in and out of phase with each other over time as different parts of the waves line up. And union is what it's been on. Shimmer is different. Sounds fairly pretty. Dissonant is really weird. Then octave. Octave is fun to mess with. Bowed, it makes it sound like it's like a cello or a violin being played with the musical bow. Obviously not perfectly, because it's a chip wave, not a real physical instrument that you can play with a bow. Like piano. Makes it sound like a bit of a piano. There's different ones you can play with too. And let's see, tempo is the speed that it'll be played at. By default, it's going to be at 150 beats per minute. But you can slow that down quite considerably, down to 30. And all the way up to 320. And it's possible you might be able to go even faster than that by typing in the value yourself. Now 320 is the fastest. 150 is a good middle ground default though. Unfortunately, you can't change the tempo mid-song unless you manually adjust this slider as the song is playing. Let's see here. So that is the basic notes. So on to percussion. Let's see. This is the standard drum set. Generally, I use the chip noise and then customize it. The noise is retro, but you can change it to like deep or buzz. That's a little bit groovy actually. Metallic. That one is very weird. Shine. That one basically seems to be the buzz, but louder. Clang. Different things like that. I'm just going to go to white, because it's like the retro noise, but a little bit calmer. And slightly more muted. Chords are the same way. Harmony, strum, or arpeggio. Effects are the same. Transition is the same. Filter envelope is also the same. But you can also change the length of these and also drag them like that. And then, let's see here. To copy and paste an instrument. So I'm going to make a quick custom instrument here. Going to go into triangle wave, filter envelope. I'm going to keep that as steady. Transition, slide, effects, chorus and reverb, and chords are going to be a harmony. So let's see. So that's the instrument that I want. Now this instrument here is echo drop. But if I want them both to be the same instrument, I'll come up here to the instrument that I want to copy, hit the copy button, and then move down here, and then hit paste. Also, you can use the plus and minus keys to move all of the notes up or down. And then, let's see here. Under Edit, Undo, Redo, Copy, Paste. All of these are they're followed with the keyboard shortcut for it. You can change the length of the song too. Generally, it's on 16. Multiples of 4 are definitely recommended. But if I want to double that and do 32, then I could also I can double the length of the song. So I'm going to select these and hit copy. That was not what I wanted to do. Hit copy, then bring them over here and hit paste to show you what that does. See this yellow bar at the bottom is that's how far it'll loop. You want to, most of the time you want to drag that all the way to the end so that when it loops, it'll go straight back to the beginning. Just like that. But you may also want to put a bar of silence at the end of the song to mark the end rather than it immediately looping back. And then in just a moment, it'll loop back to the beginning of the song, just like that. To select everything, hit A, and then hit 0 to erase it all. You can mute the channels with these buttons here by the selectors. And let's see. One trick, or it isn't really a trick, but one thing that you can do is say I want that pattern back. And then just like that. See, that one is a 3 and a 5. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are just like the different demonstration patterns I had showed you. That's interesting. Okay, major key change right there. But that's how you do that. You can also drag down here to select multiple at once. Okay, but now here's where it gets interesting. So far, most of what I said will also apply to Beepbox. This is the point of the video where that changes. So I'm just going to do, let's see, square wave. Then I'm going to add a mod channel. These are really interesting. So since I'm just going to have this middle one here to apply to that. So modulator 3 for pitch 1. That's the first instrument. And it can be volume. You can boost it. That was loud. You can also drag it down in different parts of the song. Such as that. You can change it from volume to pan. Hear it shifting between different ears. That's interesting. Pan delay. There is not a major difference in this one. Filter cut. I discussed this earlier, but this is just like a live changing of that. Same with filter peak. Detune. This is interesting to mess with in the mod channels. There you go, that's interesting. Arpeggio Speed. Okay. This is where it will kind of get a little bit interesting. So let's say I have just an octave chord. It's on arpeggio right now. So this is just how it sounds. See, the arpeggio starts at nothing and gradually goes up to the fastest it can be. If I bring this down to about half, where's 25? There we go. Then boost this all the way up so that it's the same incline but much slower, and then make this to the same thing. You can hear the changes much better. You can hear it starting very slow and then quickly getting very fast. Let's see. So there's arpeggio speed, reset arpeggio. The slider here, like, it doesn't matter what it's at, it'll always reset the arpeggio. It just resets it to its default speed. Vibrato depth. I'm going to bring this one from nothing to all the way up. Actually, I'm going to get rid of these other notes so you can hear that a bit better. See, gradually, like the vibrato stays at the same speed, but it shifts harder. Very light vibrato and very heavy vibrato. That also works for vibrato speed. I'm going to need another one for the vibrato depth as well. I'm just going to do that same thing. See, very interesting. It almost made it sound like it was just falling, like the pitch was just going down. And then vibrato delay. Maybe I do need this one. I'm not hearing a major difference here, but that is basically the essentials of it. There are some smaller details that I could go through. Before you click off of the video, remember I am leaving links to both of these in the document. There's going to be some additional instructions on here, but what you're going to want to do is go into File and Shorten Song URL. It's going to take you to tinyurl.com, and then you're just going to copy this link. So I'm just going to hit Control-C, put it in here, then you go next to it and hit Enter, and then that's a link you can click on that will bring you straight to this. So you can also change the name of it on here if you want. So this is just going to be like instructional. And then it's the same link, but you click on it and it takes you back to the same thing. So, yep, that's it. There's going to be a link to this one where you can look at the songs that I've uploaded, but you will only have viewing access. So you can still click on the links, but you can't change anything on my document. If there's any, just pause the video. If there's any of these that you are interested in, then I can make a video of this one, of the song that you choose. And yeah, there you go. Thank you guys for watching.